Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. Welcome to the video where we will be discussing the examples where we're going to use the standard reduction or the electrode potential values to calculate the standard cell potential, and we're going to write down the balanced chemical equation. On your notes, it will be on page 6. Okay, so for the examples on page 6 here, so for the following cell notation, so it's actually nanti edit, padamkan yang ini. Okay, so for this question, they ask you to write a balanced chemical equation and calculate the standard cell potential. So to calculate the standard cell potential, it is E naught cell equal to E naught cathode minus E naught anode, kakak tolak adik ataupun cucu tolak atuk. Okay, but then this question, they ask you to write a balanced chemical equation. So before that, just take a minute to pause this video and write down the summary here. So if the E naught and the value of E naught is more negative, so it means that the half cell will be the anode. Okay, remember anode. Since here in the middle here we have O, so or you can also remember anox. Okay, so it means that at anode, oxidation will happen. And oxidation is oil, where oil means that it will lose electron lah. If the E naught is more positive, if we compare these two value, the one with more positive value will be our cathode lah. So for cathode, remember red cat, it means that at cathode, reduction occur. Reduction is Rig ni means that reduction is gain the electron. Okay. So this one you have to remember lah. You have to memorize. So you don't have to memorize yang kalau nak kalau nak kahwin mesti amalkan, mesti ada. Okay, so that you don't have to. You just have to compare based on the E naught value. Okay, so without further ado, let's look for example A. So we have E naught magnesium with negative 1.18 volt and E naught for cadmium is negative 0.40 volt. Okay, so we know that the more negative, ingat negative and negative, so it will be N naught lah. Positive, positive here, remember cathode P here. Okay, so which one is more positive, which one is more negative, since these two value is negative value. So for this one, if you're going to draw a line, so you know that the value which is nearer to 0, it will be more positive. So here negative 0.4, here will be negative 1.18. So what happened here? Here will become more positive, 0.4, negative 1.18 more negative. Okay, so it means that negative 0.4 will become our cathode, negative 1.18 will be our anode. So the question asks to balance the chemical equation. Okay, so what we're going to do is to make a balanced chemical equation, we have to write down equation at anode and equation at cathode. Okay, so at anode, we know we have our Mn, manganese. Okay, so I'm going to write down anode. So you're going to write down base here. So manganese, okay, 2 plus. So if we have charge, it means that it will be equals lah. Okay, for anode, oxidation, you must lose electron. Okay, so I'm just going to try here. So Mn solid. Okay, plus with our electron. So we know that it will be 2 plus electron lah. Okay. So next, the equation seems correct where we have 1-to-1 ratio of manganese. But then what we have to do next is check the charge. Is it balanced? On the reactant side, we have positive 2. Here we have 0. Here we have negative 2. Okay, so how to make the equation balance? Okay, since at oxidation, it must lose electron. So our electron here, we're just gonna keep it there. What we're gonna do is actually, we're gonna swap between these two lah. We're gonna swap the position of these two. We're not gonna change the electron. No. Sebab oxidation, lose electron. So it's the same one lah. Lose ni maksudnya electron di product. So I'm just gonna swap the position. Then check, is it balanced? So here is 0, here is positive 2, here negative 2. So when we add up these two value, it is balanced where both sides the charge is 0. Okay, remember if the equation is not balanced, jangan ubah yang electron sebab electron memang make sure lah oxidation lose, reduction gain. We have to change the species lah, position tu. Okay, that is for anode. Next is for cathode. Okay, so for cathode, so I'm just going to write down again. So based upon the E naught here, we have CD2 plus. So I'm just going to write down CD2 plus equals. But for the cathode, it is reduction. reduction rig where it's gain. So electron must be on the reactant side lah. Plus 2 electron become CD solid. Okay, so next check. So here positive 2, negative 2. Now, negative 2 here is 0. So this one is actually 0. Okay, so the equation is balanced and it is gaining electron. So this is the correct equation for anode and cathode. Okay, to make a balanced chemical equation, what we're going to do is actually the overall equation lah. So for the overall, what we're going to do is actually we're going to simplify the equation where we will simplify the electron itself. So since the number of electrons here is the same, so no problem, kita just akan potong-potong. So what we're going to do, di mana yang the reactant side or the left side, gabungkan sekali. Product side kita gabungkan sekali. So this is the overall cell equation ataupun yang ni balanced chemical equation. Okay, next don't forget the question asked to calculate the standard cell potential E0 cell equal to cathode minus anode, kakak tolak adik, cucu tolak atuk. Okay, so we're just going to substitute again at the start before we write down the equation. We have determined which one anode, which one cathode. So we're just going to substitute it and we will get the value, which is positive 0.78 volt. Okay, so that is for example A. Okay, so for the E0, again, it's just quite straightforward. You're just going to kakak tolak adik, but then the equation make sure lah mana satu lose, mana satu gain. Make sure the equation is balanced in terms of charge, in terms of atom. Okay, so that is for example A. Next is for example B. So again, before we're going to write the balanced chemical equation and calculate the E0 cell value, what we're going to do is determine which one anode, which one cathode. Again, more negative. Negative, ingat anode lah. Anode, N. Anode kita. Okay, so ni pun dua-dua negatif. Which one yang lagi jauh pada 0? Ni 0, ni negative 2.1, 0, negative 2.37. Okay, so here it means that this one will be our anode, this one will be our cathode. Since negative 2.10 will be nearer to 0. Okay, so let's do the equation together. So we're just gonna write down base the E0 value kat sini. Kita cuba je dulu, no problem. So anode, kalau kita buat charge, magnesium kita equals, jadi Mg solid tambah 2 elektron. Okay, tengok, balance ke tidak? Okay, here positive 2, 0, negative 2. It's not balanced. Ingat, oxidation, anode is where oxidation occur, oxidation, oil kita loose. So elektron ni betul lah di sini. So apa yang kita akan ubah, what we're going to change ataupun swap is actually these two species here. So that is for magnesium. Okay, check balik 2 positive, 2 negative, ni 0, okay, ngam. Okay, it's okay. If you're not sure, cuba je, tengok balik. Okay, next is for our cathode. Cathode is where reduction. Reduction is gain lah. So electron mesti di bahagian reactant. So when we write it down, cathode. So here cathode, dia akan jadi Sc3+. Okay, equals. Tambah dengan elektron jadi Sc solid. Okay, so again, sini 0. So if here positive 3. Okay, so make sure lah kita nak elektron ni. When we add electron, we want the charge to be balanced, to be 0. So positive 3, sini 0. Kalau kita letak 2, nanti sini tak balance. So we're going to write down 3 electron. Okay, so next we're going to balance it out. Okay, yang ini lain pula sebab the number of the electron is different. Here is 2, here is 3. So what we're going to do, when we want to simplify, the electron must be the same. So what we're going to do is actually we're going to multiply. Okay, so the electron will be the same. So anode ni kita darab 3, cathode ni darab 2. Okay, for the multiplication, okay, multiply yang overall equation ni lah, bukan pada elektron je. Sini pun kita kena tambah pada magnesium dan pada kita punya scandium here. So now when we look, the electron is balanced ataupun is the same. And then on the opposite side, so we can cancel it out. Okay, so when we cancel it out, okay, so we just gonna write down the overall equation. Jangan lupa tambah sekali dengan the value in front of this species itself lah. So this is the overall equation. Okay, overall ni tapi kan dia ada step dia kan. Write down one by one. Okay, So yang ini ada extra step where previous example here, we don't have to multiply anything since the electron is the same. Sini kena multiply sebab the electron is not the same. So when we nak multiply tu, multiply semua sekali lah. Okay, so that is the chemical equation. Next, we're going to calculate the E0 cell. For the E0 cell ni, walaupun kita darab atas ni, yang E0 cell tak perlu darab. Okay, so what does it mean? Okay, write down dulu formula. So, cathode minus anode ni, yang ini kan we have determined at the start when we want to write down the equation. Okay, so we just gonna add in this value. Perlu ke? Equation ni kan kita darab 3, darab 2. So, kat sini kena darab ke, miss? There's no need. You just have to masukkan sahaja value tu. Darab ni nak buat kita punya equation balance sahaja. Later on, we're gonna see during our next equation. Macam mana nak kata if we have the number in front of it. Okay, tapi yang sekarang ni, untuk standard cell, kita masukkan sahaja value dia. And the value will be positive 0.27 volt. Okay, so that is for question B. Okay, so the equation, sekarang ni tak perlu hafal apa benda. Based on the value, kita kena write down the equation. Kalau tak dapat, kita try and error lah, check. So example that we're going to discuss in this video is example C. So here we have our H dengan we have our chlorine. Okay, so sebenarnya yang H ni, ini adalah our standard hydrogen electrode where the value memang jadi 0 lah. Okay, tapi again this question asks to write down the equation balance overall dengan write down the E0 cell. Kita akan buat jugalah. Okay, so based on these two value, again, which one is more positive? It will be our cathode. Positive cathode. Ingat positive so ada cathode tu kan. So cathode lah. Okay. So our Cl will be cathode. Our zero ataupun our hydrogen ni jadi anode. Okay. So let's write down the equation. Okay. Anode. Okay. So anode. Kalau kita cuba, we try and error. From here is H plus. So H plus. Okay. Charge dia equals. Okay. Again. Anode is where oxidation occur. So, oxidation mesti oil lah. Oil tu maksudnya loose electron. Okay, so we're gonna write down the electron here. Kat sini. Okay, tapi ada apa dengan electron? Selain electron, we have our H2. Okay, so H2. H2 ni apa pula? Is it a solid? Okay, so sebelum ni mostly kita tengok contohnya Mn sahaja. Dia tak ada Mn2 kan? CD sahaja. Ataupun magnesium sahaja. Okay, this is actually our metal. Tapi kalau we have two, based on our species ni, itu adalah gas. Same as our Cl2, O2, F2, N2. Semua ni adalah gas. Yang ni tricky dia. Soalan ni tricky sikit, sebab tu mesti discuss. Okay, plus dengan elektron. Okay, next, bila kita tengok, okay, nak check balance ke tidak kan? Selalunya pada charge sahaja. Okay, but then this one, atom kita pun tak balance. Sini H2. Here we have H2. Sini. So, kita letaklah sini 2. H plus. Yang ni pun kita tambah-tambah lah. Rasa boleh tambah 2 ni. Okay. So, next check. Is it balance? Di reactant positive 2. Di product negative 2. Okay. So, what we're gonna do? Nak swap apa? Swap ni ke sini. Ni ke sini. Nanti sama je. Oxidation memang kena lose electron. This one must be at the same place lah. Okay, apa yang beza is actually this one dengan this one. We're gonna swap. Check. Now, when we check our charge, here 0. Ni positive 2, negative 2. Okay, ni pun 0. Okay. Dah balance. Okay, so this is the correct one. Okay, soalan sini a bit tricky where kita ada H2 ataupun Cl2 gas lah. Okay, kalau nampak dua ni dia gas. Tapi yang lain sama sahaja. Elektron, anode, elektron mesti at the product lah sebab loose. Okay. And then kalau tak sure macam mana, check based on the charge. Next is actually our cathode. Okay, based on the E0 value, kita cuba daripada sini. Cl2. Okay, for the cathode, dia gain electron. So, Cl2 gas plus dengan electron. Jadi, Cl minus. Equals. Kalau charge je, mesti equals. So, kita tengok. Sini, Cl pun belum balance lagi. Cl2, here is actually 2Cl. Okay, and then sini tambahlah 2 elektron. Okay, so check balik. Sini negatif 2, sini kosong dengan negatif 2. Okay, so dia dah balance dah lah. Okay, so contohnya kalau tak tahu kita nak letak negatif 2 tadi kan. Nak letak 2 elektron. Sini kita tengoklah. Sini negatif 2. Sini charge dia baru negatif 1. So how to balance it out? By the electron. Okay, so based on the equation, the electron is the same, so boleh simplify. So we're going to write down the overall. So this is the overall equation. Okay, yang ini tricky dia bit yang dekat bahagian sini lah. Okay, so next is actually we're going to calculate the E0 value. Kakak tolak adik, cucu tolak atuk. So we know that cathode is our chlorine and anode is our She electrode. Okay, then we get the value to be positive 1.36 volt. Okay, so for the E0 kita masukkan sahaja. Okay, so that is for example C. So example D, I believe you could try it yourself.